What is going on, guys? So, funny story here actually. So, just got back from Dubai. Super awesome trip, right? Been basically kind of went there for like fun, all of that stuff, but also looking, to get a place there, right? Just due to the warmth, working remotely. I know a lot of people from London that are moving there, and that have moved there as well. So I'm just going to be breaking down kind of what kind of happened to me and how I almost, or at least thought almost, and I might have almost been thrown in jail in Dubai the day before my flight was about to leave. So basically, got there. Basically, the whole thing was kind of a birthday surprise for my girlfriend, and she's always dreaming of going, so I'm like, I'll book us flights. I had to go to London anyways for the Royal Ascot, so I went there Friday morning, flew from London at 6 a.m. to Dubai, got there Friday late evening, early night time, and everything was good. Picked up the rental car. It was a Jeep Wrangler, because I wanted to go to Desert Road, do all that, then go driving through the desert, camel, all of the touristy stuff you kind of do the first time or so you're there, right? And then also looking at kind of apartments, trying to figure out the whole thing with the residency, or the expat nomad kind of situation going on there. So as I'm looking into this, right, and guys also know I love supercars, so I'm like, how much would Ferrari here cost me? So I was looking and all of that, and basically what happened, right? Went to the Dubai Mall. The crappy thing is legit my service provider, right? I basically have service in the United States, Mexico, Canada, and then I have a phone for all of Europe. Now, in Dubai, obviously, I had zero service. And even when I tried to, turn it on, and even if I wanted to pay for it, it would not let me. So I was kind of like, what the hell? Also, the car that I rented from the rental car company, literally, it was a, brand new, Jeep Wrangler, right? 2020 Jeep Wrangler, it's 2022, so it's 2 years old. They put in literally a navigation system, right? Bigger screen, everything, kind of like the size of an iPad. Now, I have a Jeep Wrangler, right? A little older model, but again, I didn't even keep the original navigation system. I got a different one, but it at least kind of fit the size. This one that they put in was the literally worst thing you could put in. First of all, they put it in so crappily. It literally looked they just took a huge machete, cut it out, and then just stuck it in with glue all around it. That's literally what it looked like. It was awful. Now, besides that, is the navigation usually did not work, right? You would put in an address, you would have about a 70% chance that address did not even exist in that navigation system. It was awful. And if it did exist in that navigation system, it would take sometimes 10 to 15 minutes before it even got the position of where I was currently at. I literally once left the Dubai Mall to go back to the hotel the first time, and I kind of knew the area, so I was like, okay, I'm hoping I'm going in the right direction. I really thought it was, right? It took about 5 minutes before getting to the destination in order to go the right way, right? The only reason I knew it because when I picked up the rental car, I remember it was my iPhone because I had Wi-Fi at the rental car station, and then I typed in the hotel address. And I remember it saying exit 29 and kind of the route I was taking because I passed IKEA, right? And seeing IKEA in Dubai, I'm like, oh my God, it's IKEA, what the heck? So I remember that. So once I saw IKEA, I'm like, okay, basically in my head, now I only need to go to route 29. And then it was kind of like a simple, loop. And then you take a left and then you just go straight. And then the hotel, staying at the JA Ocean View Hotel in Marine, Dubai. So basically, it literally got there right after, or 30 seconds before it said take exit 29. I'm like, I am so happy I remembered exit 29 on my iPhone, right? I am so happy. Otherwise, I would have probably passed it, So that was the crappy thing, right? So the main thing, we were trying to see all these sites, and then we wanted to go to the Burj Khalifa, but we missed it literally by a couple of minutes, which was super annoying. So we're like, okay, where should we go next, right? So we're like, let's go to IMG Worlds. So we're like, okay. So we're going, and then we realized, okay, you'd think IMG Worlds, we even had the exact address, it would take us there. Well, we went there, did not have the exact address. So we're like, we did, but it took us to a completely wrong location. Went into this quick gas station, got Wi-Fi, looked, and we're literally on the opposite side. So we're like, okay, let's go back to the Dubai Mall. I'll put it into my phone, and we'll use Google Maps, because navigation will work. We just, all of this. So driving in the Dubai Mall, right? Well, here's the thing. The Jeep, most of my cars, I am really used to having blind spots and sensors. Even my Jeep, right, has a backup camera, like, installed, as well as front sensors that are installed. Just precautionary. It's a lot nicer. And again, you guys know in Texas, you basically have a lot bigger parking spaces. So Dubai Mall, super crowded, right? The other thing about this Jeep Wrangler, the sides of this Jeep were so much like wider than I was used to. So again, so I'm driving, I see this open parking spot. I'm like, tight squeeze, but I'll make it work, right? So I'm going, right, turning in, and I'm like, okay, bet. Right, I'm turning, and I'm like, perfect, it'll just like right work, then I'll straighten out. It did not do that, right? So here's the thing where I screwed up, and again, I'm taking full responsibility. This was literally my fault. So I ended up hitting that car to the left of me. It was like a white, I don't know what. It wasn't expensive, I'll put it like that. But I literally hit it, and I'm like, did I just hit it, right? So I'm looking, I'll like look over, and I'm like, did I actually hit it, right? Because there was not really much noticeable damage, like, or any. It looked like kind of a black, like, kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It was literally, it looked like if I would have taped this like black cord onto that white car. That's kind of what it looked like, if even that. So I'm like, did I just hit this car, right? So I reversed out, literally go kind of right behind it where the next available parking spot is, park into that. I look at the Jeep, right, at the very front, right on the bumper, and I'm like, okay, I really don't see anything, right? Like, I see nothing on my car. I looked above at the white car, and I'm like, okay, I really don't see anything here either. So I'm like, what's going on, right? So I'm kind of like, okay. So basically, go into the Dubai Mall, get the service, and I'm kind of like thinking, what do I do, right? I don't understand the Dubai rules, so I'm like, we want to go here, so I just look up this address, literally type it into my phone, get in the car, look at it again, and I'm just like, there's nothing here. Like, I don't know what to do, right? I don't understand this, and honestly, at that point, I was kind of panicking because I didn't know what would happen. I'm like, I paid for, like, I obviously gave a security deposit for the rental, got the insurance, yada, yada. And I'm like, I don't know the rules of Dubai. Again, that is my fault. I left, right? I should not have done that. I agree on that completely. So, I leave, but again, I saw no noticeable damage. And, I'm like thinking kind of in the US, if you hit a car, you leave a note or something, and stuff like that. I'm like, but I don't live in this country, so I did not do that, right? Again, I should have, whatever. So, we're going, blah, blah, blah. Finish the rest of the day, super nice night, all of this. Literally get a text message on WhatsApp at like 12:49, right? Literally go, I'm like, hi, were you in the Dubai Mall today? And I'm like, who is this? And they're like, police station. I'm like, bro, what? I'm like, yo, y'all are fast. So I'm just like freaking out right now, right? I'm like, I literally am about to go to bed. It is close to 1 a.m. I'm like, we wanted to be in bed by 1 a.m. because we wanted to wake up at 6 a.m., go to the old city, Al Fahida, all that, historical center, and then kind of, camel riding, that, because our flight was leaving at 1:15 the next day, back to Germany. So after that entire thing, I'm like freaking out. I'm looking up like the laws of Dubai now at this point, like what happens when you do a hit and run in Dubai. Again, I checked my car. There is no damage on that car. So I'm like, what do you blah, 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 right? First thing that pops up, 25,000 AED fine, which is basically close to $7,000, and automatic jail time of around 30 days. And I'm like, are you telling me I'm about to be stuck in Dubai? Okay, the camera got back. You're telling me I'm about to be stuck in Dubai for another like 30 days in a sense? Because I'm like, please do not let this happen. I'm going to focus this camera really fast here. There we go. For another 30 days. So I'm kind of, freaking out right now, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what to do, and then they keep texting me, they're like, we have video proof, and I'm like, yeah, I already know, I'm coming, like, I'm not denying it, and I'm like, I'm on my way. They literally sent me a Google Maps address. I'm like, bro, okay, first off, I get there, right, I'm literally, like, my heart is pounding. I literally, like, told my girlfriend, I'm like, look, here's my stuff, here's some cash, in case you need it, I have, like, my credit cards, like, I had the money on my account. I literally looked it up. I literally checked my account. I'm like, okay, I'm good in case I do need to pay this fine. I just don't want jail time, right? That's my main thing right now in Dubai. So I'm just kind of like, wow, okay. So I go there, again, heart's pounding, literally thinking, like, worst case scenario. I'm like, oh, you know, starting to look at, like, life and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not the most out of shape dude. I'm decently in shape. I'm also not the smallest guy, so, like, height and all that wise. So I'm good. But I'm just thinking, like, bro, I don't know anything out here. So I get there. Literally, first thing I see is customer happiness this way. I'm like, homie, what? I am freaking out. So I go there. They literally say, they're like, hey, yeah. They're like, hey, do you have your passport on you? I'm like, yeah. They're like, sweet. I literally go in. I'm like, hey, I got this text message. Where do I go? The guy literally leaves me there. I'm like, thanks so much. He's like, sit here. I'm like, got it. Dude sitting there. He's like, passport. I'm like, here you go. He's like, oh, Germany. I'm like, yeah, correct. He's like, okay, sounds good. He's like, you got your driver's license? I'm like, yeah. Handed him my driver's license. He's like, there's a USA. I'm like, yeah, I studied there. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, German driver's license? I'm like, I don't have it with me. He's like, okay. He's like, US passport? I'm like, yeah, here you go. He's like, oh, so you flew in with German passport? I'm like, yeah, that's what I handed it to you. He's like, oh, perfect, thank you. I'm like, what is going on here? You know, I'm like thinking like I'm going to jail. Dude literally goes, yada yada. He's like, okay, you got Jeep? I'm like, yeah, here's insurance. He's like, okay. Like, homie just kept saying, okay. I literally had to keep asking him like 3 times what he needed from me because my heart was pounding. And then also at the same time with masks there, in the glass in front of me, I barely could understand anything. So after that, you know, he's like, you got a card? I'm like, here's a card. Didn't even ask, nothing. He just apparently just wanted my information for the insurance because it said I had insurance, right? So the Dubai Mall basically has video cameras, right? They see the license plate of the car, call the rental car company, they forwarded my number. I'm like, dang, okay, that was kind of fast, but you know, okay, fair enough. You know, next day, go drop it off. Basically, moral of the story, rental car company is like, okay, like, here, really not much. Like, literally, the damage that they charged me on the rental car company was on the back right side. And that's honestly just from kind of like going over a bunch of stuff and kind of, you know, speed bumps and driving through desert and road, all of that, you know, kind of like going off road and stuff. So I got scratches, cost me 950 AD, which is like 247 bucks. So I kind of got free and clear with that, you know. Again, shouldn't have done it. I should have left a note or something. But again, I was kind of scared. And literally 5 minutes after I drove off, I was like, shit, should we go back, you know? And we're both just like, well, we kind of just left already. So we're kind of, you know, not doing the greatest job. So we're like, screw it. Whatever, we'll just keep going, you know. I'm hoping, whatever. Again, situation could have turned out a lot worse. It could have also turned out better, right? Might have not needed to pay that $250. Might have not, you know, but again, the $250 was separate damage from something else. But again, moral of the story, before you go anywhere and you're renting a car or renting an apartment, check what happens if something breaks, especially if you do not speak the language and you don't know the customs. Again, you guys know Dubai became touristy in 2021 because before then, you know, if you were like holding hands back in like 2017, 2016, you know, with someone or anything in public, you would go to jail. So that is basically kind of how I almost went to jail in Dubai, or at least I thought I did. Thank you, Google, right? Same thing if I Google, I have a headache and my left finger is tingly. You know, Google's like, okay, you're having a heart attack. You're gonna die in 5 minutes. I'm like, say what? So again, overreaction, yes. Could I have handled this a lot better? Yes, I could have. Again, my mistake. Kind of paid literally for it and stress-wise. But yeah, so moral of the story, do your research before traveling. Watch some YouTube videos, read some stuff websites-wise, travel sites, and just be well informed. Or ask friends or family that have already been to that place. And just stay safe, be careful, and don't be an idiot like myself. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and sub. I will see you guys tomorrow with another video. Peace out, guys.